Today I'm sharing two knit dresses that are easy to sew, they're fit and flare. You can match sleeves from other patterns from the same brand and have one of those really special sleeve, amazing. I have a short one and a maxi, very beautiful. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpeasandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing. We're at the end of 2024 and I hope you're enjoying these last days of the year. Tend to be special. I hope you've had some sort of special activity to do these days. I've been enjoying my time with the family, just chill, just at home. Extreme heat waves over here. I'm filming this for you really early, almost at dawn, to get the fresh experience here outside and not be blasted by the sun. Yesterday you would have seen my ruched Entice Me dress from Pattern Emporium. If you haven't seen that one, it's beautiful, it's easy to sew. Pattern Emporium is running the end of the year sale. It's the biggest sale of the year, 30% off the entire website. You don't need any special code, and if you notice, when there's a pattern release, the sales during the year are smaller, 15%. So this is a big deal here, 30% off. A few years ago, this was the sale I got most of my patterns and I started sewing Pattern Emporium. So it's a good time to get your favorites, have a look. Have a look at my playlist. I'm going to leave you down below as well so you can get some inspiration. I've sewn many of them and I have tutorials for them as well. I'll leave you my affiliate link at the top of the comment section pinned and also in the description box of the video. If you click there, it will take you directly to the website. If you end up purchasing, I do receive a small commission back from the designer, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. It is one of the ways you can support the work that I do here on YouTube. As always, if you use my link, I'm mega grateful. But let's get into these dresses that I made. This is the Wanderlust dress from Pattern Emporium. I'm glad I was able to finish them and get them done. They are amazing. And this is for knit fabrics. It's a fit and flare. The front of the dress is just one piece, so it's really fitted up to the waist and then it flares out. And the longer it goes, the more flare you have. The back has a center back seam all the way down with shaping. I suggest you don't get rid of that because it'll make the fit at the back amazing. It is fitted at the bust, the waist, a little below the waist, and then it flares out. So you get that fitted waist look. It doesn't hang down from the bust like a swing dress would. This is actually fit and flare. So it's fitted up to the bodice, up to your waist, a little below, and then it poofs out, and I love that look. You don't get that extra volume of fabric hanging around your midsection. There's a shorter mini version, a knee, a midi, and a maxi. I've sewn a knee and a maxi this time. You have a crew neckline, which is higher. Then you have a high scoop, which is a little lower than the crew, and then the low scoop, which is what I've done for both of my versions. For sleeves, you have a short, a 3/4 length, and a long. And for these sleeves, you have two fit options. One sleeve piece is really fitted. The other one is less fitted. I've chosen the less fitted option. It's up to you what you want. Maybe if sometimes you feel you need to do a full bicep adjustment, the regular looser fit would be more comfortable for you. There's also a flared sleeve. And then this armhole, you can mash up sleeves from other patterns. I've got a list of the patterns: the Besties Tee, the True Romance, the Starstruck, and Hello Gorgeous. Look at those patterns, look at those sleeves. You could put them into these armholes as well, and then you can have many options if you already have the patterns. That's what I decided to do for one of mine. I took the puff sleeve from the Hello Gorgeous. It's a short puff sleeve, has gathers on the sleeve cap and then gathers over here into a cuff. It's so cute. So that's one of the options I decided to do, just to have a little bit of fun and to make my dress extra special. For the other dress, I just did a regular short sleeve. You need knit fabrics here, light to medium weight, 50% stretch horizontally, 25% stretch vertically would be amazing. As usual, I always mention rayon spandex. It's like my nemesis of fabrics. It's not my favorite fabric. It ends up longer and looser than what you expect because the fabric has so much stress. It has usually poor recovery. After a few washes, you might get a bit of peeling and the color fades away quite quickly. Although it's amazingly soft and amazing to wear, it's not one that will last a long time. So just a warning, my dresses have turned out to be pajamas after a short time. So I'm not a fan of having a lot of pajamas like that. I'd rather make dresses that last a longer time. You can use cotton lycra if you want to. It's just that cotton lycra, because of the flare option of the skirt, will be more sticky outy and won't really drape that well, but you could use it if you wanted to. Not all cotton lycras are super stiff, so just make sure that you're happy. ITY double brush poly would be amazing. I made my maxi version in ITY. You could use a sweater knit if you want a really nice winter option with long sleeves. Athletic knits, you could use swim. Now I'm going to put Ponte Roma here with an asterisk as well because it's what I've chosen for my version with the puff sleeve. I did it on purpose because I know that Ponte Roma is really going to show off the puff of the sleeve. I want it to be a statement sleeve. I want it to be nice and voluminous, and Ponte Roma would be perfect for that. But if you don't want that, don't use Ponte Roma. I think you can use Ponte Roma for the dress, for the body of the dress as well. Just know that it's not going to drape as nicely as the other fabrics, but it'll just be more of a dramatic dress. And that's what I wanted for mine. I chose an amazing print and I'm really happy with my choice. The other thing I'm going to say about my Ponte Roma is that it's softer than others I've had. It's a little drapier because it's got rayon in the composition as well. So not all Ponte Romas are made the same. Just make sure you're happy with how it feels and you'll probably be happy with the result. Just know it's going to be a little bit more voluminous, you know. Sizing for the Wanderlust comes from 4 to 30 Australian. Now there's two separate drafts, one from 4 to 22 and one from 18 to 30. So it'll go up to a 58 3/4 inch hip circumference for size 30. You choose your upper bust size to choose your base size because you want the neckline, shoulders and sleeves to fit well. And then you can blend to other sizes according to the full bust, the waist, the hips and all of that. I just take my measurements, plot them down in the chart and go from there. I am a size 16 Australian right now. I've never had any issues with not liking the final fit. It's perfect. Personal fitting, literally just choosing my size, and for the knee length option, I made it an inch longer. I tend to do that. I'm a little bit taller and I want them to be at my knees, so it's a really easy adjustment. Now the skirt pieces are flared, so I don't want to be cutting through the middle and adding and then distorting the sides. I think the easiest way for me to add an inch is just to add it to the hem. Easy peasy, you just cut it on the same pattern piece. You just cut it 1 inch lower on the paper and then trim away the rest. Remember, there's a midi and a maxi length all on the pattern as well. So that's just the easiest way for me to make it a little bit longer. I did do a little trick on my maxi version just to save fabric. Now the front piece is one full piece on the fold. You don't have a seam here at the waist. It's just not there. But when you're assembling your PDF pattern though, there is a bodice piece and a skirt piece that you're supposed to tape together. It was easier to print it that way, and then you stick it together and that's what you put on your fabric. While I was trying to figure out my layout, I figured out I could just get a skirt piece and a bodice piece with less fabric. So on that little bodice piece that you stick on together with the skirt to form one whole piece for the front, I just separated them and added seam allowance, and I ended up with a seam across the center right here. It's a print, you can't really tell it's there. The fit is exactly the same. It was just going to allow me to get my dress with less fabric. It was actually going to allow me to get the dress with the fabric that I had. So that's something that I did, and I don't really regret it. I don't mind adding a little extra seam here and there if it's going to get me a beautiful dress. And for a maxi, I was using more fabric than I'm used to. I don't usually buy big cuts of fabric, and let's pretend that little seam isn't there. I just did it on my maxi dress though. For my shorter one, I didn't do that. Here is my beautiful Ponte Roma. I have a blazer in the same fabric I made a few years ago. I bought so much of that fabric because I loved it. It's got a non-traditional houndstooth print. It's really strange. There's a little houndstooth, big houndstooth with pink and black and beige. I mean, it couldn't be nicer. I love this type of pink color for me. It's so nice. So here is the puff sleeve. It's amazing. It's got all the gathers on the top and then the gathers into the cuff. It's all very comfortable. I love it. I mean, I think the Ponte Roma is perfect for this. If I'd done this with a drapier fabric, this wouldn't be so nice. So that's something. I sewed all of this with my sewing machine. I serged the edges and then sewed this and pressed it open. That's something I like doing with Ponte Roma. I think it just feels nicer and hangs nicer. It's a structured fabric, so I treat it more like a woven when I'm sewing it sometimes. And that back seam, beautiful. It gives you an amazing fit, no drama there. And you can see how it just flares out like this from the waist. It's so beautiful. Seams over here on the sides are the same, serged, sewn and pressed open. Gorgeous. Now I did something different for the neckline finish because this is a heavy fabric. I didn't do the neckband. I don't like neckbands with Ponte Roma. I think it's just too bulky. So I did binding instead. You know the binding where you sew it right sides together here and then you just wrap over the seam allowance and then you catch it at the back and then you sew it with a stitch in the ditch. Love that method. I've done it for so many things this year. It's been one of my favorite finishes. you know, for necklines and armholes when the fabric is medium weight, athletic knits, Ponte Romas. I wouldn't do this type of finish with ITY or rayon spandex or something light like that. That will brush poly. I think neckbands are perfect for those. But for something heavier, I prefer this binding type finish. And it's super neat and lies flat and it's less bulky and it's just perfect. So I love it. Again, I have a full masterclass on neckbands and bindings for knit garments. I'll leave you the link for that video and what minutes I show this technique so you can see it more in detail if you're interested. So yeah, let's see this one on just with shoes because I don't have any styling options here while I'm traveling. So yeah, let's see how this one fits. I am so happy with it. This is my first Wanderlust dress from Pattern Emporium, size 16. It's a short one, above the knee. I added an inch to the length, gorgeous Ponte Roma, a little more structured, and you can see that the flare of the skirt is more evident here with this one than you'll see with my other one in ITY. Absolutely love the fit. There's no excess volume around the waist area. It goes in at the waist and then just flares out beautifully. Fit is amazing with the center back seam there. I wouldn't try to get rid of that. It's just such a beautiful dress. I have a low scoop neckline here. The neckline finished, I changed it a little and did binding instead because the fabric is a little too heavy for a neckband. And check out these statement sleeves. This is a mash from another pattern called Hello Gorgeous. It fits the same armhole and I have a short puff sleeve. There's a closer look at my binding technique. Super neat, stitched in the ditch, and the beautiful puff sleeve. It's gathered on the sleeve cap and also gathered into a cuff. It's not tight, it's not uncomfortable, and the Ponte Roma was a perfect choice to make this sleeve a statement sleeve. Really balances out the volume of the shoulders with the flare of the skirt. Having this sleeve there, that's why I chose it. I think it looks super cute. As a side note, if you've been following my channel, you know that my mum has a corner with beautiful hydrangeas. Well, it turns out that a man that came to help her with them during the winter and cut off different things. I don't know what the term is for when you cut off things when you're gardening. I know nothing about gardening. I think he went a little overboard. So there's barely any of them there. And the ones that are there are still not in full bloom. So it's not that nice yet. I hope in a few weeks it's going to be nice. But I went to a neighbor's house that has a full wall of them. And that's where I've been filming these lookbooks. I hope you enjoy the background because it's so beautiful to see. Here is my Maxi version. This is an ITY. It's gorgeous. I love black and white. You know, if I could be dressed in black and white 80% of the time, I think I would be pretty happy. I love it so much. It's just so easy to style as well. And this one has a scoop. This one has a regular neckband, no binding over here because it's a lighter fabric. I have a regular short sleeve here. Very nice, easy to set in. Remember, knit sleeves are so easy. You sew them and it's 1-to-1. You don't have to do gathering stitches like woven, so it's easy. And remember, I sew all my sleeves on the round, even if it's a knit. I have a video that talks about that in depth and why. Have a look at that if you want to. You can sew them on the flat if you want. There is the center back seam that goes all the way down. And this is where I have that sneaky seam that I had to add on so that I could get my pattern pieces from the fabric. You can barely see it. I can't feel it. It's right at my waist height. This was all sewn on the serger traditionally, directly on the serger. So the sewing machine didn't have anything to do with this dress. There is the back seam on the serger, and here is this seam here on the serger. So I didn't use a sewing machine for this. This is a really lightweight fabric. That's why I don't think I need to use a sewing machine like I did for the Ponte Roma that you saw previously. So it's super nice. It's super wide at the bottom and super long. I love it. It was a delight to sew. It was a breeze. It took me no time to make. And I think it's a beautiful maxi dress. I love it a lot. I don't think I would sew a maxi dress with a fabric that didn't drape a lot, just because I'm still a little bit self-conscious of maxi things, especially a maxi dress. But this black and white made it easier for me because I love the print so much. I know I'm going to be reaching for this one all the time. Let's see this one on in front of that wall of hydrangeas. This is my second Wanderlust dress from Pattern Emporium in an ITY knit. I used the size 16, no changes. I used the maxi version, beautiful. This is a very nice fit and flare silhouette. You'll see up closer the details of the print. I really love how this flows. ITY is perfect for a skirt that has a bit more volume at the bottom. I do have a sneaky seam on the front, and I added this just so I can get my pattern pieces out of my fabric. You can't really tell it's there. On the back, there is a center back seam that goes all the way from the top to the bottom. It's got shaping there. I think the fit is gorgeous. There's no excess material around the waist. And I have the low scoop neckline option with a simple neckband, super easy. I have a regular short sleeve that's a little bit of a looser fit. There is a slimmer fit sleeve as well. The neckband easy to sew, just press, no top stitching, and have a simple hem there on the short sleeves. Gorgeous dress. I don't have many maxi dresses at all. This is one of them and I'm going to really enjoy it. Feels amazing on, super fresh. I have filmed this for you, the general construction, and I've also focused on the puff sleeve from the Hello Gorgeous, which is another pattern, but you know, that sleeve could be mashed on here and it's amazing. Let's see. This is the front pattern piece for the Wanderlust dress. I have already sewn shoulder seams, as you can see there. Just ignore those. I'm just showing you the shape. It's one piece cut on the fold, very well shaped. It's going to be nice and fitted right here on the top area of the bodice. And then at the waist, then you get this beautiful flare and it'll be lovely, full volume. Love that. I'm using Ponte Roma, which is a fabric that's heavier. It's still got a nice drape, but it's not one that I want to sew on the serger directly. So what I've done here is serge all the edges first, even the hem, and I'm going to be doing the seams on the sewing machine, basically treating it like a woven and just pressing the seams open. Here is the back. It's got a similar shape, nice and fitted up to the waist area, and then this beautiful flare. I've also got all the edges serged. There is a center back seam with shaping over here. I would leave it. I really like it. It's going to make the fit so much better. And I've already done that seam. It's also one I'm going to press open. So this sleeve is not only going to be gathered on the sleeve cap, it's also going to be gathered here. Here are the cuffs. This is a cuff that's going to go at the bottom of the sleeve. So it's a statement sleeve. It's going to be amazing. And then this is the other piece I have for this dress. My neckband. I've already sewn it right there. I've serged one side. I'm going to be sewing it like a binding, not like a neckband, just because this fabric is too heavy for a neckband in my opinion. So now at this point, the only seams I've done are the center backs and the shoulders, which are super simple. Now I'm going to sew the side seams, get them sewn so I have a closed armhole. The other option is you sewing a sleeve on the flat, which you would do when the armhole is extended like that. I don't do that ever, especially with this fabric. It's going to be side seams now for me. For my normal seams, I'm doing a narrow zigzag, almost flat looking, and then this is my stitch length. I can still do the narrow zigzag with the 1/4 inch presser foot. That is the seam allowance of this pattern and I'm gonna respect it. There are many sleeve options, but I've chosen this one that's going to have gathers on the sleeve cap. It's going to be gorgeous. Look at this print. It's amazing. So this is all going to be gathered on the top. And because my fabric is a little heavier, a little more structured, it's really going to show that feature. I think it's going to be adorable. This is actually a sleeve from the Hello Gorgeous top. So I borrowed the sleeve to put on the Wanderlust because it's one of the sleeves that you can mash in. I thought it would give it some interest. So here on the top is the mark that's going to match the shoulder seam. Down further here are the double notches for the back, the single notch for the front, and a little further up you're going to have other marks, this one and that one. And this is the area that we need to do the gathering stitches to form that puff look. So I'm going to do one close to the edge. So there are the gathering stitches for the sleeve cap, but we also need to do gathering stitches at the bottom because this is going to be gathered into a cuff. So I've also done 2 rows of stitching right there. That's ready for later. Here we have the cuffs. I've got them right sides together and we're going to sew the short ends. I'm going to use my 1/4 inch presser foot so I can press this open. I'm sewing the little seams of the sleeve because I'm going to be setting the sleeve in on the round, not on the flat. These little seams also a 1/4 inch seam allowance with my helpful presser foot. I've put my little cuff inside the sleeve. I've matched up the seam right here with the seam of the cuff. And in the middle of the cuff, I put a pin and there's a mark on the pattern that matches the middle of the sleeve right there. So this is all the volume I need to gather onto this cuff right here. And it's always the same, pulling on the threads, hitting those gathers. And I do it from one side into the center and then from the other side into the center. This is how the sleeve looks like with the cuff on, and I think it's easier to do this and then set in the sleeve if you're going to do it on the round. If you're going to do it on the flat, then this would be done first and then the cuff would be done second. Here is the sleeve inside the armhole, right sides together. I've matched up the side seam and the seam of the sleeve right there. I've matched up the top, there's a little mark with the shoulder seam. Seams are open there. Then we have the double notch for the back part of the sleeve. Up further is where the gathering starts, so up to there it's 1 to 1 all around the bottom of the armhole, up to this part where we have the single notch. Up to here it's not gathered either, but here is where the gathering starts. So you can see the excess right here and the excess right there on the sleeve. Gather all this area to make it the same length as the armhole that's at the bottom. That's that side, and then the other side is the same. Now we sew it on the round. I'm super happy with these. These are going to be dresses I'm going to wear all the time. I'm going to wear them to go to church while I'm here at my parents', also when I get back home. And I'll probably wear this out just to go to the supermarket as well. Why not wear beautiful things to go out and do anything, right? For me, there's no such thing as being overdressed. That's just not a thing for me in my books. I highly recommend this pattern. It's super easy. The size range is great. It's got a lot of options and the fit is spot on. I'm really happy with the fit. I'm sure you're going to enjoy sewing this one if you want some relaxed sewing time. There's nothing here that's going to get you stressed out. Remember to check out the Pattern Emporium sale. There's still quite a few days. It ends the 1st of January at night if you're over here. It ends the 2nd of January at midday if you're in Australia though. Make sure you subscribe and have your notifications on so you don't miss any fun content here from Lifting Pins and Needles. See you soon. Bye.